Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello. This video is about the descent into darkness. The descent into darkness. Some of you can feel it happening. You can feel with your spirit that things are changing, not just with your feelings. You can detect it with your spirit. It's a knowing. It's a spiritual seeing. It's an awareness. Things are descending. Things are degrading. Not just in Europe, not just with mass invasions and replacement and crimes against Europeans, and not just here in United States and in Canada and in Australia, Germany, France, Sweden, the United Kingdom. You can see the degradation of people, societies, morals. You can see, some of you, a rare few can see. A rare few can see. It's beyond sellout governments. It's beyond a few bad rotten eggs or rotten apples. It's beyond a few violent fighting age men or a few million coming from the Middle East or third world African Wakanda hellholes. It's bigger than that. Some of you can see that, a rare few. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than corrupt governments owned by banksters, owned by Rothschilds and others. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than the WHO and the Jabba Dabba Doo. It's bigger than World Banks and World Economic Forums and this and that. And it's bigger than a trilateral commission and all this shit. It's so much bigger than that. It's a spiritual descent into darkness. It's realm wide, baby. It's everywhere. And you can't avoid it. And putting on a happy face and saying, well, just be positive, doesn't change it. There's fake channels on YouTube telling you, if you're just positive, it changes everything. They just want you to be negative. These channels are negative. Stephen's negative. King Stephen is negative, they say, for speaking about it. And quote, they say I'm promoting a hell realm. I'm exposing a hell realm. I'm not promoting it. They warp, they twist. They misrepresent me and my model and my videos. On purpose. They misrepresent me on purpose to mind fuck you. So that you'll say, oh, well, wait a second. He's bad? I shouldn't watch him then. He's negative. He promotes a hell realm. And they'll say that I call myself Team Evil. No, I don't. I show you what Team Evil is. You have to actually watch the videos and pay attention to understand what I'm doing, what my message is, what I'm against, what I'm for, who I'm exposing, why I'm doing this. You have to watch the videos and I know this sounds strange, and watch the videos and pay attention. It sounds a little bit strange to people. It's akin to me saying you have to read the book to know what's in the book. But this world has fallen so far that people shake their heads and say, no, I don't. I don't have to read that book to know what's in it. Can't you just give me a 2-sentence synopsis for that book that's 555 pages or 444 pages or 333, a short book? Can't you just brief me in 2 sentences? I don't have to read the book. I don't have to watch King Stephen's videos. I know he's bad. I know he's negative. He, quote, promotes a hell realm, Jack Talcott says, Jack Twatcott. And others say that. And they say he's negative. He's negative. He thinks this is a hell realm. He's making people afraid and negative. I show you what reality is here. I don't want it to be this way. I wish it wasn't this way. I wish I could change it. But no one can. It's designed to be this way. And it's getting worse. There are children now armed with hatchets and knives to protect themselves from third world sex offenders, creeps, demons, predators, sickos. It makes my blood boil, and it's sickening. And I'm trying not to get too fired up, and I'm trying to do a calm video here. I'm trying my best, but that is on my mind. What the innocents go through in this realm is on my mind. What children go through, and the vulnerable. Children are should be priority number one. The ones in the womb, newborn babies, young children into their teen years have to be protected. That's always been the way of the West, to protect the young and the vulnerable and the innocent. That's something that our ancestors knew. It's something that made the West the West. And we had rule of law, and we took care of criminals and took care of them in ways that I can't even describe on YouTube to get them out of the gene pool, we'll say, so that we don't have a violent gene pool that's impulsive. Yeah, and there's some crazies, there's some psychos and sickos of every race, every ethnicity, of course. But there's less violence and less brutality and less predation in the West, in our societies that we built, than in the others, the third worlders. There are differences. They should never be allowed to prey upon our children. Our meaning European children. White children, if you will. But I prefer European. I prefer to say European. Do you understand? The Germanic tribes, the Celts, Anglo-Saxons, our children. Do you understand? But there is a descent into darkness in the West and around, I almost said around, sorry, across this realm. I'll put it across. Instead of saying around, even though around can be drawing a circle on a flat map, whatever shape, I'm not going to focus on that. At this point, believe what you will. If you haven't looked into certain things like bodies of water do not curve, there's no curvature. Look into videos exposing the horizon and ships going over, and they don't go over any curvature. You can zoom in on them. I've known this since childhood, that there's something drastically wrong with the spinning ball model. Now some people would say, well, out of body, Stephen, they'll say that they've seen a spinning ball, Earth, a globe. Yeah, well, there's mind control going on in the astral realm, and there's illusions. They can show you all sorts of things. It can feel like you're seeing the actual Earth, but are you so sure that you are? Can you be so sure when you're in a matrix full of mind control and illusions and deceptions? They show people all sorts of things during near-death experiences, and it's similar with out-of-body experiences as well, and with astral travel and remote viewing, etc. There's trickery. You're in a tricky place. It's a tricky, complex matrix of mirages, illusions, Maya, illusions, deceptions, lies, technology, illusions. But anyway, I wanted to focus in this video on things getting worse. Now, why am I focusing on that? Am I focusing all my energy trying to make it worse? No, I'm describing what I observe, what's observably true, what you can observe as well. It's not just me. I'm not the only one who sees it. It's about being honest, viewing the realm with spiritual eyes, honest spiritual eyes, to see the truth, whether it makes you feel good or doesn't, whether you like it or not, whether it's what you want or don't want, viewing it as it is. Like looking at a stream, and you look at the little, maybe tiny rapids or just small little waterfall, and it's very peaceful. And you look at the rocks and the plants on the shoreline and some wildflowers and some grasses and weeds, and you might see a little crayfish in there, you might see whatever, and just observing what's there, not going into your imagination or wishing it was different or trying to imagine it being different or putting a positive spin. You might see something come along and eat something else. You might see a bird come along and eat a little minnow out of that creek, and you realize that that's life eating life right in front of you. It was peaceful until you thought that fish just got eaten, that poor little fish got devoured. And you really start thinking about how things are in nature. I'm just asking you to do that with the realm. That's all. That's all. If it's a cloudy day or a partially cloudy day and you look up and there's a bit of blue in the sky and then there's some dark clouds rolling in, just notice the dark clouds. You don't have to wish them away or pretend they're not there. Just observe what's already there. If there's great big streaks in the sky and things flying, leaving these, we'll call them trails, you can notice that as well. Doesn't mean you want that or you wish for that. You're noticing what's right in front of you. All right? That's all. That's all I'm asking. I'm asking you to observe reality as it truly is. The observable truth. Use your observation skills. Not just your eyes, or ears, or sense of smell, or taste, or touch, but your spiritual senses, your spiritual eyes. All right? To sense things, to feel energy, to walk in somewhere and say, it feels like everyone's dead in here. You don't have to vocalize it and tell them that. Just within you, you notice it's like a store and there's a dozen people, or there might be 3 people in there, and you just realize you're the only living being. They don't feel like they have living energy. They feel dead. There's a deadness to them, whatever they may be. They might have a spirit, but it might be so vastly different with the spiritual signature than yours that they seem like they're not alive to you. You walk in a place and it gives you the creeps, and you observe that. You feel it, you notice it. And instead of going into denial mode, you say, what is this? What am I noticing here? Again, that's the opposite of going into denial, noticing. What I'm asking you to do is notice things about this realm. Notice how things are getting worse in the past 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, 25 years. Let's say since a certain event on 9 double hockey sticks, excuse me, that involved certain things in Manhattan, in Washington, and in Pennsylvania, they claim. We all were witnesses through devices, through television, etc. That was a big marker. That was a big turning point. A big change. Not just with afterwards removing your shoes to get on an airplane. It changed the feel of America, Canada, and the realm in general. It was like a dark spell was cast. All right? And it was literally a dark spell. It was that. That's partially how this realm works. It's a sewer matrix, and it has to do with magic, sorcery. But it also has to do with more the programming of this system. I call it a biomatrix sometimes because we are biological meat suit beings, or we're in these meat suits where we appear to be biological beings, but we're spirits in these meat suits that are like vehicles. It's just a vehicle, mate. As David Icke says, it's just a vehicle. So it's a complicated, complex system. It's not simple. It isn't just ones and zeros. It isn't just a video game, as Chrissy Pissy would try to make you believe, and many others. They want you to believe it's just a video game. No, it isn't. It isn't just a video game. It isn't so simple. And it isn't that stupid. They're stupid and fearful, and they're agents of the Matrix pushing you to believe you don't have a spirit. But if you're listening to me right now, chances are you have a spirit, and you're aware of it, and you know that you're more than just this body that you're temporarily in. This flesh, bone, blood, tendons, organs, skin, biggest organ, nails, hair, eyes, meat suit. This isn't me. That was me hitting my chest. This isn't me. This isn't me. Understand? Slapping my chest. This isn't me. This is a meat suit. Do you understand? This is temporary, this meat suit. This body ages, declines, degrades, rots, dies, goes into rigor mortis, decays, gets eaten by the earth, whether it's buried or cremated or whatever. Eventually it gets eaten by the earth. This isn't me. This is finite. If I hop in a car and drive it for a day or a year or 10 years, it isn't me. It's a vehicle. I hop out of the car, I'm still alive. I am an eternal being. I am an eternal, magical spirit. I'm trying to break through to you. There's a lot of people that come to my channel that are still half asleep or wandering around in a bloody trance. Like sleepwalkers. I wish I could just walk up to them and clap and say, pay attention, wake up. Light a fire under their ass. Observe what's around you. Everything is declining. It's a descent into darkness. And there's real darkness coming. I'm not saying that to scare you. This isn't about fear-mongering. This isn't about, oh, there's a rapture coming or revelations and the end of the world and the apocalypse and this is that and Armageddon and blah, 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 and biblical shit. And no, this isn't about that. This isn't about fucking Nostradamus and all the rest of it that baby truthers have chances are gone through or they're looking at right now and they're living in fear. This isn't fear programming. This isn't fear prawn. This is about observing what you can see that's already happening. Whether you have a smile on your face and you're positive and saying, I'm just going to be positive every day, it's still happening regardless. Do you notice that? Do you notice the realm is still getting darker no matter how many New Agers or people or YouTubers pretend that they're positive and that positivity changes things? It doesn't. Positivity doesn't dictate what this hell realm is. There's lots of fake positive beings that say, well, he's negative and dark because he calls it a hell realm. I'm calling it what it is. Just like I'll call a fish, a tree, an apple, A computer, a phone, a knife, a knife. That's not a knife. This is a knife. You understand? I call it what it is. It's not about being positive or smiling or faking it or pretending or wanting people to feel good hearing what I say. It's about calling it what it is. I'm very straightforward, very blunt, very direct, and that's what I'm doing. That's the way I'm doing it. And I'm doing it this way on purpose. Because I think this way does reach true spirits. They don't want fluff. They don't want what's fake, what's phony, what makes them feel good but isn't true. They don't want sprinkles on top of a sewer or on top of a rusted junk pile covered in shit and somebody saying it's good now. Look, I put sprinkles on top of it and a cherry on top. It's a sundae. And you're like, it's not a sundae. It's rusted junk covered in sewage. All you did is toss some fucking pretty little sprinkles on top and pretend. I'm not a pretender. I don't like being around pretenders. This place is getting darker. And it's going to get darker. That's the trajectory it's already on. That's the path it's already on. If you're in a plane flying southwest direction, and I say it's traveling southwest, don't cry and get angry and throw a tantrum saying, you're making it go southwest, Stephen. You're saying it's going southwest, and that's making the plane fly southwest. No, it already is. I have a compass in my hand. I'm observing. That's the direction we're traveling. I'm saying the direction it's going. I'm not making it go that way. Some of you are that fucked up on YouTube. Again, not my regulars and moderators, but New Agers and baby truthers have this belief that speaking about it makes it go that way. If this reality operated the way I want, it would all be different. It wouldn't be like this whatsoever. There wouldn't be children preyed upon every day in this fucked up realm. There wouldn't be starving children. There wouldn't be animals suffering. There wouldn't be elderly people suffering. We wouldn't have to eat to live. There wouldn't be a money system in control, a central banking system. It would all be different. This whole realm would be different. There wouldn't be life eating life and suffering. There wouldn't be earthquakes and tornadoes and hurricanes and great floods and horrendous disasters. There wouldn't be 10,000 diseases for humans. I could go on and on and on. We wouldn't have pain. We'd be able to, if we did have the slightest pain, we'd be able to turn it off. We'd be able to come and go from this realm freely. We wouldn't be hostages here. It would all be different. The entire realm, top to bottom. The design of nature, to the design of the bodies, to the political systems, money system, financial systems. All of it. All of it would be different. It wouldn't look like this at all. The food would be different if you wanted to have food, but it wouldn't even be a requirement. Food, water, air would be different. All of it. You wouldn't be poisoned all the time like you are here, or children. This place wouldn't be a toxic hell realm. It would be all different if I were deciding how it is by my thoughts or my wishes or what I prefer. If that's not simple and straightforward enough for you, I'll describe. It would be a paradise for me, or what I consider to be paradise. That's what this place would be. It would be different. Vastly different. It wouldn't look this way at all. And it wouldn't operate this way. Evil wouldn't be in power. Evil wouldn't be rewarded. Innocents wouldn't be abused daily like they are in this realm. It would all be different. All of it. I wouldn't design a place like this. I wouldn't participate in creating a realm like this. A hell realm, a sewer matrix. Now, when I say it's getting worse or descending into darkness, it's a lot worse than it was in the 70s and 80s, and even early to mid-90s, maybe even to the later 90s. But by then I was already in the 90s noticing decline. Even in the early 90s, I was noticing decline in this place. I was noticing. But by the early 2000s, I was really noticing and writing about it. Even in the late 90s, I was already writing about Big Brother, surveillance systems and spies and the corruption of government and a lot of corruption and a lot of evil in this realm in the 90s. Writing and publishing, trying to put some truth out there. And I ran a website in the late 90s, 97 to early 2000s. 4 or 5 years, I think I had a website. It's all right if you don't understand. I've been doing this for a long time. A lot of newbies these days, baby truthers that have just looked into this the past 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, they think they have it figured out. You don't. You don't. It's much, much larger than what you see. But your baby truth, your ego, makes you believe that you have it figured out. And you'll say you started noticing a change in 2020. There were changes going on long before then. If it took that to open your eyes, you had issues. You were asleep until 2020. It took something massive across all of the Western world and into, into the East, into China and Japan and other countries that participated, for you to finally start seeing there's something majorly wrong, something major going on, and something with this realm that's evil in control. You were asleep until then, and that's a badge of honor for you that you started to see something was wrong in 2020. That's what it took to open your eyes a little bit. That shouldn't be something that's a badge of honor for you. You should feel a little bit of shame for that and say, why didn't I see anything before then? If you're not a total egotistical narcissist, you should say to yourself, why the hell couldn't I see anything before then? It took that. Maybe that's why you can't see much more than that. You just think that's the biggest thing and the only thing to focus on. 5 years plus later, over 5 years, and people are still on that. Talk about it for the next 25 years. It won't change anything. You're in a little bubble. You're fixated on one aspect of this realm. I'm not saying it wasn't something. I'm not saying it was small. It was almost everywhere in this. It affected east to west. You could talk about that forever, though. You're not going to change anything that's already happened. That was over 5 years ago. You can talk about the event nine double hockey sticks for the next 25 years. You won't change that either, and you won't get any demons held accountable. You're still thinking small. You're not thinking big picture. You're not looking at the big picture of the realm and what this place is and where it's going. Your vision's too narrow. You're too narrow-sighted. You're in a little bubble. And you'll argue out of emotion, a lot of you, and say that you're not, and that these things matter, and you'll get heated and say, I'll never stop talking about that, Stephen. Talk about it forever. There was a guy on my channel that just wanted to talk about 2020. I said, there's lots of other channels. I'm not risking my channel because I'm talking about bigger things. If people haven't seen it 5 years later, they're not going to see it. So you're actually not reaching anybody. You're putting my channel at risk for no reward. And he wasn't respecting me. He would come on live again and again as a guest, John something, some old guy in Scotland. And he didn't want to consider what I was talking about. He never talked about the things I was talking about. And then he'd start talking about rising earth theory. He's one of those. On his deathbed, maybe he'll be thinking about 2020 and the Jabba Dabba Doo and rising earth and different things like that. And then the entities come for him. How is what he's focused on going to help him? Spiritually. Because he's going to leave his body eventually. His body's going to give out. I think he mentioned he was 70 or late 60s maybe, but I think around 70. So how many years does he have left? 8, 10, 15? Eventually these entities are going to come for you. Is your belief in a rising earth, is that going to help you? Do you feel motion? Where's the motion of the earth? If earth was rising, what about parallax with the stars? What about whatever? We'd be able to detect motion of the earth. So I think it's another fucking red herring. It's another wild goose chase, another rabbit hole to nowhere that they want you to go down. Just like fixating on 2020 and the people that got the you know what. How are you going to help them at this point? By talking about it for the next 25 years instead of looking and learning about other things? You going to stay stuck in a rut? You stay there in the quicksand then. I've reached out a hand and said, hey, I want to help pull you out. Do you want out of the quicksand or do you want to keep sinking? And a lot of you are defiant. You'll cross your arms and say, fuck you. I'm stuck on this forever, Stephen. So be it. Now I'm walking away from you. Stay in the quicksand. I'm done with you. You don't want my help. You're rejecting my help. You're spitting in my face, saying you know best. You're going to stay in the quicksand on that topic. Stay there then. I'm going beyond that. I'm carrying on my journey. By the way, the people that think, well, Stephen, if you shut down, you've quit. No, I'll continue my research. I just won't be sharing it with you. The more insights I see, the better I develop my model, the more that I learn. I'll just keep it to myself. I've graciously handed it out for free, alchemical gold. I do a lot of thinking and a lot of work to put this together, but I know what people want. They want shit. And this realm is descending into darkness. There's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. And a lot of you don't like that because you're wishful thinkers. You're stuck on hopium. You're stuck on new age shit and fluffy lies and stuck on just be positive. I'm not telling. I've always said, I've never said, how can I put this? I don't want you to be miserable. I don't want you to be negative or fearful. Enjoy the little things. Be Viking strong. I've encouraged you that way to strengthen your spirit. But I think living in denial of what times we're in is harmful to you and to our societies and to our children, Western civilization. This is a descent into darkness. You should be preparing for that in various ways, including preparing your spirit, not just physically preparing or stockpiling or defending yourself or with food or this or that. As preppers, prepare your spirit for what's happening. We're in a spiritual war versus evil and darkness. And I am preparing. I am preparing. Are you?